Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Before I begin, I'd like to apologize in advance if my English is not perfect. Thank you for understanding and thank you all for being here. So, I'm Ofik. I'm 22 years old. I'm from Tel Aviv. I served at Sayeret Nachal, an elite combat unit in the IDF. I joined the IDF in July 19, 2021. And it's hard to believe that almost 5 years has passed since then. Time really does fly. Looking back, those 5 years changed my life forever. They shaped the man I am today. So I started my service at Chavat HaShomer, where I spent 5 months before passing the selection process for the Sayeret. Throughout my entire military service, including the war, I served as my team's lead Negev machine gunner. Within the team structure, my role was to lead from the front. I was the first to move, the first to enter buildings doing grates, and the first to the door. And it also meant that I had the highest chance of being killed. On October 7, 2023, my team was stationed near kibbutz Kerem Shalom. Kerem Shalom is a small kibbutz located right next to the Gaza border. At 5 a.m., we were on routine patrol along the security fence. At first, we had no idea what was happening. Suddenly, we saw hundreds of terrorists moving toward us. We were a team of 6 soldiers with 2 armored vehicles, and we immediately began fighting. At around 6:30 a.m., one of our vehicles was hit by an RPG and became disabled, forcing us to continue the battle on foot. We kept engaging terrorists and eliminating them for hours. We fought without stopping. No one answered us on the radio. Mortar shells were flying over our heads non-stop as we moved on foot toward kibbutz Kerem Shalom. When we reached the kibbutz, we immediately began clearing the entire area while continuing to encounter terrorists. I was operating completely on instinct, almost like a robot. We fought for hours while more and more and more and more terrorists continued breaking into the kibbutz. At the same time, while terrorists were still firing at us, we treated wounded civilians, including women and children, from the kibbutz. Only around 4 p.m. did things finally begin to calm down. We stayed completely mission-focused while our minds were emotionally disconnected. It was the longest day of my life. It was also the most exhausting, the most physically demanding, and the hardest day I have ever experienced. Sometimes it still feels like a dream rather than a real memory. In combat, there is no time to think, react emotionally, or even fully understand what is happening. My body was running entirely on adrenaline and survival instincts. That day, I lost 2 teammates. One was my best friend, Yaron Shai. The other was also my best friend, Shoam Ben Arush. He was shot in the face and passed away 26 days later. After October 7, I felt completely exhausted. Immediately afterward, we spent 3 weeks preparing for the ground invasion into Gaza. Those 3 weeks were the hardest period of my life. After everything we had been through on October 7, I was completely exhausted, both physically and mentally, trying to process everything that happened to me, to my team, and to my country. I was overwhelmed and confused. Three weeks later, we entered Gaza. The fighting there was extremely complex. We fought throughout northern Gaza, across central Gaza, and in Gaza City itself. Eventually, we reached Jahel Tufah neighborhood, where I was wounded. In total, I completed 4 deployments inside Gaza. Between each deployment, we had only 24 hours to rest before returning to combat. On the 5th day of our 4th deployment, we carried out a nighttime raid on a 2-story building. The ground floor had already been heavily damaged, so we moved upstairs through darkness and thick fog, carrying our weapons and flashlights. As the lead Negev machine gunner, I entered first. In front of me was a hallway. To my right was a kitchen. To my left was a small bedroom, and beyond it, I noticed another area that I couldn't clearly see. I know we had to keep moving, so I told my team commander, Matthew, point of attack to the left. Only Matthew and I had managed to enter the room. Suddenly, we came under heavy fire. Matthew dropped to one knee and reported the contact over the radio while I fired long bursts from my weapon. The firefight lasted only about 2 minutes. I threw grenades, and because of the smoke combined with the fog, we could barely see anything. The grenades and the fire I laid down eliminated the terrorists. Matthew informed our company headquarters that we had made contact. Then I suddenly noticed a window facing another building only about 3 meters away. A terrorist looks directly at me and opened fire. The wall behind me, like this, was covered with bullet impacts, but only one bullet hit me in my leg. To me, that was a divine protection. I eliminated the terrorists. I didn't even realize I had been shot until someone pointed out that my leg was covered in blood. Only then did I begin to feel the pain. The bullet had lodged in my muscle and was removed during surgery. I was incredibly lucky. Being wounded ended my combat service, but it was only the beginning of a different battle. The physical recovery was difficult, but the mental recovery was even harder. Like many soldiers, I came home carrying things that no one could see. For a long time, I struggled with PTSD. There were days when I barely slept. Loud noises brought me back to Gaza. Some memories never really leave you. But over time, I realized that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means learning how to live with those memories. Today, I continue that journey. I choose to focus on gratitude rather than anger and to keep moving forward. The experience I went through changed me forever. But they also taught me the value of life, family, friendship, and freedom. The greatest victory is not surviving the war. It's learning how to live after it. Belev Echad came to visit me and stood by my side through the toughest period of my life. I owe them everything. They give me a service dog. Without them, I won't be able to go anywhere, along with so much more. Belev Echad is my safe haven, a place where I can sit, rest, and be surrounded by fellow wounded soldiers who truly understand what I'm going through. My family and friends back home care deeply about me, but they can't even truly understand what I've been through the way the people at Belev Echad do. Thank you, Belev Echad, for giving me the opportunity to share my story. And thank you.